Hello and welcome to episode 3 of ForMorSport, the show where we talk about all things football. We talk about so many different subjects. This week, we are going to be discussing the week that was. It's been a crazy week of football, but as always, I'd love to introduce the people that are joining me on the screen. So please, without further ado, please introduce yourselves to the people watching the show today. Either one of you, I don't mind.
Let Chris go first. Let Chris go first.
You know who I am. It's a hat trick. It's a hat trick. Number three. Number three. Yeah, no, not red today. Wearing white. PSG. Commiserations. You're knocked out of the Champions League.
Don't worry. We will get to that. Yeah. And Nana.
Okay. I'm Nana. I'm an Arsenal fan. Fan of the Brazilian team as well. Back in the day of Pele, etc. So yeah, I'm an avid Arsenal fan. I'm a member, I go to the games, etc. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
Thank you. So we know we're looking forward to a great show today. We know that we all have opinions. We all have lots of things that we can share and discuss. It's been a great week of football. I must admit, we have seen some amazing things, and it's been difficult. There's been some difficult things that we'll be discussing today. But generally, it's been just a wow moment for the Premiership, for Europa League, for the Champions League. It has been crazy. But we are going to start with the game that happened on Monday, which was Tottenham versus Everton. It was an embarrassing game. I don't know if I don't know what your ideas are of Everton's current situation. But for those of you that may not know, they have a new manager, Frank Lampard. He's come to the club. He's trying his very best to stop them falling backwards down the league. And then they had to play at the Plough Lane. They had to play against Tottenham, a very strong Tottenham side. And they ended up scoring 5 goals. Kane with 2, Son with 1. I think Reguilon scored the other one. I can't think there was another. I can't think scored the other goal. But either way, what is going on with Everton, guys?
Nana, do you wanna go?
Well,
I'll let you in.
Well, when Lampard first arrived there, things looked quite good. I don't know if it was it a cup win, his first match, and he come off to a good start. Mm-hmm. Lost a game, won a game. For me, about opinion, so this is just my opinion.
Of course,
he was never the right fit.
Okay, and why do you think that?
He's a young manager that's not really experienced to that end of the table. I know he's done Championship, but then he would have had one of the better teams in the Championship, so he would have been used to a winning mentality. Everton are in a dogfight to survive. Yeah. And he may come through it because I like him and I think he has actually got some good skills. But even with Chelsea, what I've heard is that even with Chelsea, he used to concede a lot of goals. So that's with top players. Mm-hmm. Rudiger, Alonso, players that are doing well under Tuchel. He was giving them the elbow. So I don't think it's a good fit for a team that wants to try and survive at this moment in time. They may just about get away with it, may gain a bit more experience. But if it was me on the Everton board, I wouldn't have hired Frank Lampard if it was me, because I don't think he's got the credentials to get them away from that part of the league, in my opinion.
Okay, Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I think I agree with Nana. I mean, with the Everton situation, you've got to take it back a little bit. Employing Rafa Benitez in the first instance wasn't the best fit, right? Yeah. That was the first issue.
But because of his Anfield links?
Or? 100%. Yeah. That was never going to be a good fit, right? And it's not because of him, it's just because of the history. Because I feel if you give Rafa enough time, once he sorts out the defense, you're going to get a very difficult team to beat, basically. They'll pick up points where they need
Agreed.
So that was the biggest problem. Him going there, I don't think he should have. But then to say that you're going to get rid of somebody who's won the Italian Cup, the Champions League, the FA Cup, the Spanish League twice, to hire Frank Lampard, who got to the playoff final and lost, you know, to me, especially to follow some, you know, you're following Rafa Benitez and Carlo Ancelotti. It's a bit like, you know, but at the end of the day, who else was available? If you want me to be brutally honest with you, at the moment, because of their plight, this is going to sound very rude coming from a Liverpool fan, but they're at the Sam Allardyce, Steve Bruce, you know, safe pair of hands kind of stage. That's my personal opinion. But they've tried that before and they didn't move forward. So for them, they think, no, we're going to try something different, go for somebody younger and whatever else. But you just need to look at the table, see where they are, and say it's going to make or break them as a club and him as a manager, I think.
Well, if you look at the way they've actually fallen down the table, it is quite extreme. And I do think seeing him versus Klopp in you know, in the Merseyside derby, I kind of think he's going to drown. I mean, Klopp has been there a few years now, knows very well how to play the game. And, you know, when you think that if someone like Calvert-Lewin doesn't play, heads drop, they feel very, you know, they're very weak. They've got an amazing statistic that Everton, I believe, and Arsenal are the only teams that have never, ever been relegated. It used to be us, Everton and Aston Villa. Now they are looking very, very closely at a dogfight in the relegation battle with you know, teams like Norwich, Burnley, Watford. These are teams that have been there before and know how to. I mean, Burnley over the last few seasons tend to late bloomers. They tend to play much better at the end of the season when they're up against it, and they save themselves usually. This season, it's going to be very, very difficult. And I believe that if we'd had this conversation maybe, you know, a month ago, we'd be talking about Newcastle. Suddenly, Newcastle are no longer part of that, you know, that group of death, you know, that lower part of the table. They've won 6 of the last 7. And that's an amazing record to take them out of it. So you can't use Newcastle. So I almost feel, could Everton be considering, you know, could they be now thinking, you know, under Lampard, are we actually going to keep it, stay in the Premiership? Who knows? I mean, it's very difficult for us because we've grown up with Everton always being in Division 1, always being in the Premier League. They've never been anywhere else. They may be a mid-table team, but they've never been so dire that they've been sucked into the relegation battle.
Football was a changing game, Johnny. Sorry to cut you. Football was it's a changing game, and if Everton went, nobody would shed a tear, to be quite honest with you.
but you know, but now you know that's what we would say if Tottenham went down. You know, no one's going to care. You know, obviously him being a very loyal, you know, Liverpool. But it's totally right. Football is a cutthroat game, and I was listening to TalkSport this morning, and basically at the beginning of the season, we were 3 point, you know, Arsenal had played 3 games, not scored any goals, and were rock bottom of the Premier League. And there was talk of us being relegated. So, you know, I never thought we would be. And I did think well, you know, COVID, injuries, that kind of thing, we was going to turn it around. But are we then saying that, you know, do you believe in your heart of hearts that Lampard can turn it around and save them from going down?
Okay, for me, there's a couple of things. As the conversations were going on there, I was just thinking Everton's problems here are deeper than Lampard, because what, in my opinion, they seem to have done, they seem to have spent a lot of money, but very, very badly. Them and Manchester United, and even Arsenal to a certain extent until quite recently, have all had this capacity, this skill almost of spending lots of money, but not very well. And so their problem goes deeper than Lampard. But then even when Lampard joined, this is why I was thinking, who did he recruit? Because it's all about recruitment as well as coaching. It's recruitment as well. He's recruited Dele Alli. He's recruited the guy from Manchester United, who might be not too bad, but Dele Alli's definitely on a downward
midfielder, the Dutch
Donny van der Beek. Van der Beek.
Yeah,
Van der Beek. Yeah. So
I mean, Dele Alli is I mean, he's a good football player, but he hasn't been doing it recently at Tottenham. Is he going to be able to do it in a relegation battle with Everton? It's going to be difficult. No player, unless you're one of the greats, ever goes straight into a team and just hits the floor running. It takes a bit of time to bed in. But can you bed in a relegation battle? It's difficult. Opinions?
Yeah, I agree with. I think I'd agree with Nana there. There's players who, when they've been featured in the Premiership in the past, they will move with manager to manager to manager, club to club to club, because a manager has a certain profile, right? I can't think of many off the top of my head, but when, let's say, the likes of Roy Hodgson goes to a football club, he gets a certain profile of player. When someone like Sam Allardyce goes to a football club, they get a certain profile of player. You even look at Newcastle, right? They brought Eddie Howe in. I certainly speak for myself. I thought it's a bit of a strange one because they've got a whole load of money. But for them, they're looking at it as a stepping stone. No disrespect, the guy won't be there for that long. But has he got the know-how of keeping a team in the Premiership? Yes, he has.
Yeah.
Did he do it on a decent budget? Yes, he did. So, okay, let's get him in. What did he go and do? He didn't go and buy Mbappe or put a bid in for Mbappe and, I don't know, Salah and all these players. He went and got Dan Burn.
Yeah.
He went and got Chris Wood.
But he got, I think with those players, they are dependable.
Yeah, that's it.
Strong.
That's it.
They are going to dig deep. They're going to hold the ball up. They're not going to be scoring you lots of goals, but there's going to be players, those are the kind of players you need to dig deep. So he did actually, and I mean, the proof's in the pudding. Newcastle have actually won 6 of their last 7 games. I mean, that's pretty much, brilliant for a team that was struggling.
Awesome form. Awesome form. I think it's only them and Man City that have got such a record from the start of January. So,
so they've done
if it started in January,
really well.
they'd be second or something.
Yeah. Now, for all of you watching at the moment, you're probably thinking, yeah, but there are 2 teams playing there. Tottenham, we've focused a lot on Everton. We didn't discuss Tottenham. We are going to discuss Tottenham, but we're actually going to discuss Tottenham later on in the show. There's a reason for it, but we'll put a pin in Tottenham purely and simply because at the beginning of the week, Monday, the 7th of March, they were high flying with a 5-0 win against Everton, and they were, high flying and they were happy. We'll come back to them later on in the show. Right, so we'll move on to Tuesday, which was the 8th of March. It was Champions League. We had a demolition of Salzburg, Red Bulls at Salzburg by Bayern, where, arguably one of the best teams in the competition still. And then we had Liverpool playing at home, the fortress that is Anfield, being beaten 1-0 by Inter Milan and having to try and get an equalising goal against 10 men because Sanchez was sent off. From what you saw of those games, what stood out for you in terms of, moving forwards? Are they the potentially finalists? I mean, what's your take on those games that we saw?
Can I go first with this, because Chris is going to have absolute Liverpool knowledge. He'll say everything I'm going to say and much more. So I only have a limited knowledge. So if I say my little piece first, then Chris can say. What I saw, was it Salah even hit one post, the other post?
Yeah.
Was there a crossbar or something?
Yeah.
So the scoreline doesn't really reflect the game up until what I saw. But then what I saw, Inter scored their goal, they could smell it. What I saw, they were going to score another goal. And then Sanchez, people say he did something silly, but I watched that and I watched it and I watched it. They got that wrong. He's gone for the ball. To me, it looks like he's trying to pull his leg out of it. He's not followed through to hurt the player. I think they've got that wrong. But when you're already on a yellow, that's where you've got to then be a bit more wiser about what you're doing. So if you're already on the yellow, and apparently, because I missed that bit of the game, but apparently some are saying that should have been a red. So if you're already on that kind of the tightrope and you're nearly falling off, then you've got to be a bit careful. So that's what I'd like to say is that, you know, I think Inter were a bit unlucky, but Liverpool were on top for what I saw. They should have scored and killed the game long before Inter got their goal.
I mean, we know that obviously Martinez was the partner of Lukaku last season, wasn't he? And a great striker. I don't know if, you know, I'd like to think Inter will keep him, but there'll be other teams that will be interested in poaching him because he's a goal scorer. From a Liverpool point of view, Chris, were you a little bit surprised that you weren't able to basically outman them when they went a man down?
Not really. Not really. We've played, I think they were the second or third team we've played that's gone down to 10 men. And we have only scored once. And one of those was a resulting penalty of the individual being sent off. That was against Chelsea earlier on in the season. Reece James handles it.
Yeah.
Gets sent off. We scored a penalty. We didn't score again. Same with the Inter game. Most of the time, when a team goes down to 10, we haven't been able to break them down. So was I surprised? No. I actually think the sending off affected Inter more than it did Liverpool, because we spoke on it before earlier on in the week, but also following on from Nana's point, that couple of minutes after Inter scored, you know, between Inter scoring and Sanchez getting sent off, they were on top. There's no arguments of that. They were on top. If he stays on for 10 more minutes, who knows what would have happened, you know? And it was the same in the first leg. In all honesty, they were on top.
Yeah.
And then they let it go for the last 20 minutes and we were just clinical, right? On a different day, like I said earlier on in the week, we win this game comfortably and no one talks about it. But if you look at it on a whole context, 2 legs we've gone through, you look at the game, they played well. You know, they played well. They can feel aggrieved that they didn't get more out of it. But I'm a Liverpool fan. Ultimately, we took our chances. We took our chances in the first leg. Were we lucky? No, I don't think we were. I think we did the work over the 2 legs to go through. I think people might want to look for things because it puts you off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, is there a chink in the armor in terms of how you're doing? Maybe there is. Maybe we weren't clinical enough. But on a different day, that's 4 or 5. You know, so
obviously hit the bar, hit the post, hit the bar. I mean, there were periods where, you know, you were on top and there were periods where they were on top.
But they were unlucky. They were unlucky over the course of that night. Definitely.
Yeah, so you had two very strong teams with, you know, Bayern Munich winning and, you know, scoring for fun. And what was interesting is if you saw the first leg, Salzburg should have made it 2-1 at least in that game, but it would have made absolutely no difference once they went to the Allianz Stadium, because Bayern Munich liked, you know, as per usual, very, very strong. And once Lewandowski is on fire, there are very few defenses that can hold him back, it's just, you know, it's amazing to watch him play and to see how well he was. I personally was surprised at the Liverpool result, but as Klopp said, that you have to be, you know, there are certain games, you need to know what games you can lose, you know, and that was one of those ones where, do you know what? They got away with it. It's, you know, no away goal rules and all that kind of things anymore. So it doesn't matter. And Liverpool did the business and they did the job. And most importantly, they're now in the next round. So, right, we're going to move on to Wednesday night now, because there was a really boring game between City and Sporting Lisbon. We're not going to talk about that. At the end of the day, Manchester City, they're a good side. They are a machine. They are a very, very good side. They didn't need to, you know, push the boat out in any way against Sporting Lisbon. But we're actually going to go to Madrid right now, where we are going to discuss, and I've put in capital letters, capitulation. That is the word that I wrote down in capital letters, capitulation. Real Madrid went to Paris and tried to grind out in the first leg a 0-0 draw, and actually nearly did it up until Mbappe's, you know, he was running them ragged anyway. but they had him contained. He scores a goal. They go away 1-0. Everyone discusses it. Everyone thinks PSG, with the team they have, are going to, run riot in Madrid. I want you guys to talk to me now about what actually happened in Madrid that we see a 3-1 victory to Real.
Okay, again, we went away a couple of years ago to Stag Do, your Stag Do, Johnny.
Okay. Oh yeah.
and I spoke to Chris.
Yeah.
You remember?
Liverpool were playing Real Madrid in the final of the Champions League, and I don't know if you remember what I said, Chris. There's this thing with Real Madrid.
Yeah.
If Liverpool were playing any other team, I thought Liverpool would win that game. I said that. But there's this thing with the Champions League where teams like Real Madrid, if Real Madrid are in it, it doesn't matter what they're doing in the league. I don't know whether it's some kind of spirit around them. I don't know if it's their fans. I don't know what it is. They seem to be able to. No, same for Liverpool. Same for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool also had this. This is what I was saying to Chris. There's certain teams that have this thing in Europe. Their fans. Remember when Liverpool 3-0 losing to AC Milan?
Yeah.
Fans were singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." They did kind of what's the word? That the Liverpool players, when they started singing that, even though they were 3-0 down, they started running, let's just say 25% more because of the fans. So that's what I mean by this spirit. The spirit of the fans lifts the players to do more. And I think it's the same with Real Madrid.
Yeah.
So as soon as they scored that first goal, I thought, oi, because it was 1-0 to PSG. And then Mbappe, I think he scored 2 more goals, was it? And they were giving off. So if one of those was gone, I thought, okay, they're going to win this. But when it was 1-0, they could lose this. And I'm watching with more and more 2-1. Sorry, they come back, and then I just saw, I could see that happening. And the other reason I could see it happening is because PSG have form. They beat Barcelona. Was it 5-0 or 4-0 or something like that? Then they go and lose 6-1. So Man United, they're winning. So they've got this form of being winning. Should go through. So the two things with Real Madrid's history in the cup and PSG's form for capitulating when they should really be going through, there was always going to be something in it once Real Madrid scored their goal.
So that we regularly hear the term the 12th man at the Santiago Bernabeu. I think that's how you pronounce it. Bernabeu. I always get the name wrong. Sorry for any of my Spanish viewers. I apologize. There is a certain standard that they play. I felt in that game that in the first half, PSG were actually playing better than them, and were actually and Mbappe was doing what he always does, which is dominate, out sprint, outplay, class. I mean, the disallowed goal where he got.
I
mean, when you look at someone and you think, did he just do that? Did he just make Courtois look stupid? Like, did he just make a quality goalkeeper like Courtois look simple, where he skimmed over the ball and put it in, but he was offside? And I thought, wow. And don't get me wrong, remember, he's playing against a team he wants to play for. At the beginning of the season, he wanted to go to Real Madrid. So there's a lot invested here for him to play well. But please explain to me the second half, because as I said, I used the term capitulation. I understand the fan. You have to remember, the fans were annoyed at Real Madrid in that first half. It wasn't like they were supporting them. They were angry. They weren't going, yeah, go on, Real, you can do it. They were angry that their team were playing garbage. So let's break it down. Because the first goal may or may not have been a foul on Donnarumma, right? Because I think the first goal was the back pass that the goalkeeper didn't deal with quickly enough, and he dithered, and then from then on there was, I don't know if you can hear that noise.
It's all good. The show must go on.
I must apologize. I have my wife with the children. So for those of you that are watching the show, again, the kids are going crazy. I can only apologize for that. But anyway, I digress. So there looked potentially to be a foul on the goalkeeper. The referee didn't give it, and they're 1-0 to the good. But then, if you are in a strong side, does that what do you then? How do you rally if you're on the sideline as a manager, or if you're the captain of your team? What are you telling your guys once you put that ball on to start again? What are you saying to your guys to stop them the rot? What? Do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What are you telling?
I'll take this one. I'll take this one because there's a lot to unpack. In that first half, like you said, I think Madrid were not nervous.
Yeah.
The first thing you got to take into account is away goals is gone.
Yeah.
So it means nothing that Mbappe has scored. It just means it's 2-0 and we have to score 2. They're at home. They've got good players. They're more than capable of doing that. It's whether they could shut them out.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The first goal that gets given, the keeper's dithered. He thinks, let's waste a lot of time. We're leading, blah, blah, blah. You start to ease. It's not that he eased up, but it's like, let's waste as much time as possible. He got it wrong. And this is where, to answer your question, you put your foot on the ball. If they had Ramos, they don't lose that tie. They didn't have Ramos, because I'm not saying his defending ability would have stopped Mbappe and the likes. No, sorry, not Mbappe. It would have stopped Benzema. But the difference is he would have said, right, put your foot on the ball. Pass it to that guy. Pass it to that guy. They could have even brought Gini Wijnaldum on the pitch once that started and say, let's calm things down. Let's just play the ball about, right? But instead, they start giving it away. So Modric is now starting the orchestra. And he was definitely like running the midfield at his edge. Do you understand? I thought, why are you just not holding on to the ball and playing it amongst yourselves? Kind of like what Liverpool had to do the night before. You realise this team's on top of you. Give the ball to Van Dijk, give it to Matip, give it to Van Dijk. Do the same thing. Just
keep ball.
But don't you think then that? Sorry, I want you to carry on with your point, but it was something that you talked about Modric. Modric did the exact same thing to England in the World Cup, where England had played very well in the first half, and Modric had the game of his life, and Croatia ended up winning. And I think we'll look back on that game and go, how did we lose that game? But that game was lost because Modric just turned on, didn't he? He just became that guy again. Did that happen again against PSG?
Personally, I'm more with Chris. I'm more with Chris though, because I'm more with you that there's this unseen thing in football where, again, I'm talking about a spirit. People like Tony Adams, people like Roy Keane, people like Steven Gerrard, people like Patrick Vieira. What these guys seem to do, they don't only have ability, and Ramos, you just mentioned, they have this thing where they drag their teammates, put in the extra. If he says, put your foot on the ball, the whole team will react and do what this captain on the pitch is saying. And he calms everybody down. They make everyone do what the team needs to do in order to get the result.
So what, and PSG don't have that guy, do they?
No, well,
do Paris Saint-Germain have Captain Marvel? Do they have who is? Because you have to remember,
that's what Chris said. He wasn't playing.
Look at the quality in the team. Think you can name every position and go, wow, they have got. I mean, the defense is maybe questionable, but when you think of that front three, pretty sterling.
Okay, I'm gonna answer you. I'm gonna answer your question.
Yes. Please do.
A lot of look at Arsenal. I'm gonna use your team, right? Your current team captain is Lacazette, right?
Yes.
Look at the output with Lacazette, or just as an individual, but then look at what he brings to the team as the focal point.
Yeah.
Right. Just look at that for a second. Same with Liverpool. Look at our win rate with Jordan Henderson, without Jordan Henderson.
He's brilliant.
So,
he's brilliant.
Yeah. So for me, I'm saying, well, no, it's not just about the names on the team sheet. Look, one of the goals, I don't remember if it was first to second or second to third. It was a space of 30 seconds. That's
from the kick.
From the kick, yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Why is there nobody saying, hold on to the ball?
Yeah.
Don't do anything silly.
That's unforgivable football.
Ridiculous. They are. Listen, even Spurs don't do this. I know people have tried to compare the two. Spurs aren't even that bad. Like, I just could not believe we're talking about one of the greatest assembled football teams that there is, and they could not hold out for 2 minutes. To me, it's just poor. It's just poor.
But don't you think that? And I mean, obviously, I know you've talked about the spirit, that 12th man, that feeling. Were Paris Saint-Germain just shell-shocked by that goal? Were they just in complete shock that for what the quality they have, Real Madrid have just sucker punched us, and then now it's a game, and remember, it's now a game in Madrid.
They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. And that's the point. They shouldn't be, because basically you should have players, captains. Every team should have 4 or 5 captains, not just one captain. You should have players in your team where, right, now 0-0. Forget what just happened. Whether you're winning or you're losing. Now, if you've scored a goal, it's 0-0. If you've just conceded a goal, it's 0-0. Compose yourself and let's get our foot on the ball, like Chris has already said. Let's now just keep the ball, get the foot on the ball, just play like this, and we're still through. We're okay. Just relax, everybody. We don't need to be shell-shocked. But to me, doesn't seem to be enough captains in the team on the pitch. And because it's happened on a regular basis, leads me to a wider question, which other pundits on TalkSport, Match of the Day or whatever, they will talk about. French league just not strong enough. So because they're playing against teams that are not really their class, and it should be really we should win this game, we should win this game, we should win. Now you're coming up against teams that are as good as you, or even better, or have more spirit, even if they're not as talented as you. They've got a better spirit than you. So I don't know if that comes into play, because there's got to be some reason.
But then we need to keep in mind that Paris Saint-Germain only a couple of seasons ago were in the Champions League final against Bayern Munich. So no, my point is that as bad as we think their league,
so was Tottenham against Liverpool.
But Tottenham did have a good squad then under Pochettino. They had a good squad. And they just didn't have a big enough squad to maybe take on the league as well as. But you know, their figures don't lie. They've got between Kane and Son, the partnership between them is the best there's ever been in the Premier League.
The combination of
the combination. But what I'm saying is Paris Saint-Germain have the likes of Messi. They have the likes of Mbappe. They have the likes of Neymar. I mean, we're talking. And as you said, the players that they bought from Liverpool, the players that they've continually been buying, but they have. It feels to me like they have a champagne team. They've got all these great names, but who in that team is the Roy Keane, the Vieira, the John Terry, the Tony Adams? Who is the dig deep? We need to get a result and grind a result out here.
And that's what I was saying before. For me. Ramos, if he's on the pitch, they probably don't capitulate as bad. They could still lose, but I just don't think they capitulate. And that goes to prove. I mean, look, you watching that game, Mbappe he should put that game to bed in the first half, 100%. Right? But people won't talk on that. They don't want to speak on it. He had 4. I didn't understand what Madrid were trying to do. Trying to push up so much and leave so much space behind you when Mbappe's on the pitch. I didn't get it. If he finishes at least, like you said, Nana, before, just one of those chances, we may not have this conversation. So he has to bear responsibility. Also, when you now start to see that the game is turning, the tide is turning against you, you've said, we've all sat here and talked about how good these players are. We didn't even mention Icardi, who's a bad man, gunman. in Italy, right? We didn't talk about Di Maria, right? They've got so much creativity in that team, and not one of them could score a goal.
No.
Not one of them, my friend. That team is finished. Like I think that team, they got to the final
in Europe. You mean in Europe?
Yeah,
you mean?
Yeah, in Europe, they've done that. Like, to me, this shows you that you can buy as many players as you want. If you don't have a plan and you don't have a structure, it's not going to work. It's not going to work, because they have proved, everybody will say they have, if not the best front three currently, one of the greatest there's ever been.
Yeah.
And what they're going to do is win the French league one time. It's, to me, that's woeful. It's
and they're not current. They're not even the current champions, are they?
No, Lille are the current champions.
Yeah. So I mean, I know that at the end of the game, they said, "Oh, you know, Poch is going to go to United. Zidane is now going to go to PSG and turn them around, this, that, and the other." And I did think to myself, yeah, that may well be the case, because you know how crazy football is. But as much as we have sort of beaten down on PSG, what part of that game are we going to give actually to Benzema? And
he was awesome.
And how well he actually played. Because it's one thing to say, oh, PSG, they capitulated and they drowned and they choked. But Real still had to score the goals. And the goals that he scored, I mean, they're really good goals under pressure. You know, is he now is he the best striker in Europe?
Not the best, but he's in the conversation, but he's not the best. No, not for me anyway.
Not for me. Okay, so when you talk about the best strikers, who do you say are your top 3 best strikers in Europe as now?
Can we also say, when we say strikers, are we talking number 9s or are we just talking goal scorers? Because Salah is one of the best strikers, but he's not a number 9.
That's true. That's a good point. 9. Yeah. No, the reason why I said that was because when you think of, say, someone like Lewandowski, he scores a bag load of goals in Germany, but he does have playmakers that kind of put it on a plate for him. And he is very, very good at scoring goals for in Germany. But when you put him in the Poland shirt, he's not so prolific. Is that fair?
I think he scored 70-something goals for Poland.
But
still a bad man.
Okay, fair enough.
That's for Poland, and that's for Poland. Think about that.
The reason, the point is that Benzema has scored a lot of goals and would have scored, I personally believe, even more goals had he been allowed to play for the French national team. And I think that there would be people. There's French strikers right now that will probably be sitting on the bench if Benzema had been allowed to play, but obviously because of the politics and the case, but court case and this, that, and the other, he had to drag Real Madrid as a squad. Have some older players now, and their players are getting older. They're not as mobile as they are, and yet Benzema is still scoring a lot of goals. And a lot of those goals that he's scoring, he's actually creating himself. It's not a tap-in. He's actually making the goal. He is the assist. But he's never in the conversation. And I always find that quite interesting, that Benzema is not the sort of person that just taps in a goal. He is actually making...
I will tell you why. And sorry to cut across
no,
you,
please.
I'll tell you why. Lewandowski is that guy. His numbers don't lie. His numbers are always better than Benzema. So that's, for me, that's that argument. The next one, Erling Haaland is he's top 3 for me, above Benzema, right? His stats, he scored more goals than he's played games. That's there's no, and that's all competitions, Champions League included. So again, that's another one for me. He's okay. If we're talking current, Mbappe, he's ahead of Benzema for me. Like, he's another gunman. So I'm not saying Benzema's not a good player. right? He is a top player. I don't think the France thing really affects him, in my opinion, because if you look at his club record, he's now, I think, top 3 or 4 Real Madrid's history, right? So it's just when I look at it, I think he's good. Do I think he's upper echelon? Like, for me, he's never been that. He's never been the guy.
But wasn't that because for a large chunk of his Real Madrid career, he was in the shadow of Ronaldo?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, he joined on the same day as Ronaldo, if I remember correctly.
But
and then you've got Ronaldo. So imagine it. You've got 2 strikers, forwards, who Ronaldo breaks the record for the most goals ever scored for the club.
Yeah.
Ronaldo leaves. Benzema then becomes that guy, starts scoring lots of important goals because the vacuum is there, and now he's the guy.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like he's 34 now, scoring good goals, and probably could still continue to score goals. You know, and you know, is Real Madrid now in the conversation for potential winners of the Champions League?
They always are. They always are. But that's based on historical, not based on, in my opinion, not based on how good they are now. But I think Liverpool's better than them. Man City's better than them. Bayern Munich's better than them. But on any given day, they can, because of their history, they have this knack of they can come there, they can beat you, they can get to the final, and they can win it, even if they're not doing so well in the league. So that's the only reason. But if you're just going on pure, look at the squads, look at the managers, I would say no. But then going back to the Benzema thing that you said, that I would even say Kane is better than Benzema.
That's it.
Chris has said Haaland and Mbappe. So Benzema's in the conversation, but he was never. If we was all voting for who's the best number 9, or no, let's put it another way. Let's say we all had a big bag of money for our club.
Yeah.
And we can buy anybody. I'm not buying Benzema. That's the easy way to put it. I can buy anyone who I want. I'm not buying Benzema.
This is it. I agree.
But I know it sounds weird, but would you buy a goal scorer who scores tons of goals but is not tested in the Prem?
To me, in this day and age,
the reason I say that is because when we talk about Haaland, he has scored a bagload of goals in the Austria? Was he Austrian league?
Yeah,
he goes to the Bundesliga and he scores a bagload of goals there. Isn't there even a little part of you that says, but would he make it in the Prem?
No, not one bit.
Not for me.
Not for me.
As I said, I'm asking the question.
I look at Benzema, right, and I rate him highly. But like you've mentioned before, he joined the club on the same day as Ronaldo. If I believe in my ability, Ronaldo's not going to come in and just because he might sell more shirts than me or he's more well-known than me, I believe in my ability. Benzema was that guy at Lyon. Yeah. Right? So to me,
Arsenal wanted him.
If you're a gunman, come and be a gunman. He realized that there's a bigger man on the road, so he just had to settle on the side. And then he had to wait 9 years before he becomes the top guy. To me, you think Haaland's doing that? Do you think Kane is doing that? No. You think Lewandowski's doing that?
Yeah.
Listen, they come in and they're like, I don't care who's here. I'm the big dog. So Benzema is a bad man striker, right? Yeah. Bad boy. But from time you went in and you play second fiddle as you are a number 9, you're not at the top table for me. All those other guys that we've spoken about, they're coming for competition. They want all the smoke. He didn't want the smoke. Okay. He didn't want it.
So, gentlemen, I know we have spent quite a lot of time on the capitulation, but
it was a great match.
I honestly put that game as it was in the middle of my notes because I said, no matter what we talk about this week, that was one of the games, not just of the week, but of the season. The way in which we've seen two good teams go at it, and Real Madrid turned it around and are still part of the conversation as to whether or not they could win the Champions League. It was a great game. It was a really good, for sport, it was just great, especially with what's going on in the world, just to be able to see a game and just be like, wow. And if you are a Real Madrid player or fan, you've just watched your striker grab victory from a good side.
Great display. Great
display for football. Okay, so we're going to go back close to home now. We're going to talk about some league games that happened during the week. Obviously, Chelsea went away to Norwich. Now, the reason why, obviously, there's a lot going on in the wider world which have affected Chelsea. Chelsea Football Club are now under extreme measures. They are limited to, I believe the rules are that their season ticket holders can watch the game, but they can't sell any tickets for the game. So any games that are played at home are going to be played only by season ticket holders. If they can't go to the game, they can give it away, obviously give it to someone to go there. But the general consensus is that numbers may well be down for their home games.
What they might do, can I just add something? What I've heard, what they may do, Simon Jordan's mentioned this on Talk Sport. Basically, if they're cute, they can gift tickets away.
Yeah. So
gift tickets away. That's a way of then getting
people in, and that to me is actually probably a great thing to do. So keeping in mind that the owner of the club is no longer able to sell the club. He's no longer on the board of directors. A big chunk of Chelsea's buying capacity has just been thrown into the toilet. Chelsea are able to pay the wages of their staff and their players, but away games, they only have £20,000 to spend. But I have been told by Chelsea fans that most of the games, their tickets are paid for in advance.
Yeah, that's it. They
Up front. So even though we're saying they've got £20,000, actually they have a they're
all pre-booked. It's all pre-booked.
So in a sense, they don't have to worry about that part of it. But my question to you guys is, up until now, they've had a massive 3 on their t-shirt. All their sponsorships are there. Suddenly, all of their sponsors are jumping ship. My question is this: do you think long-term this is going to affect Chelsea's ability on the field?
One word answer, no. Explanation is they need to get a seller before the end of May, I believe it is.
Yeah.
They're an attractive proposition, right? I don't know if they've been fully given into the hands of the government. I don't believe they have been, but whatever it is, that sale has to go through. Otherwise, there's administration and all sorts of other things. In my view, it's not an educated view, but that's not going to happen. Chelsea will be sold even if it has to be at a loss. Now, dependent on who that individual is, it could be a consortium, it could be a couple of individuals, or it could be one person. I don't believe it's ever going to be another Roman Abramovich. But at the end of the day, even if it's a consortium, if you can afford to buy Chelsea, you've got money, right? So this is what I didn't understand about rival fans getting so excited. If they get bought out, right, and it's a billionaire, and then they decide that actually we've got money, the biggest elephant in the room when it comes to Chelsea for me is the stadium. Where it is, in terms of expanding it, it's awful. The location it's not primed for a rebuild, right?
And I think Hammersmith and is it Fulham?
It's Fulham Broadway.
Yeah, they're not very pro them actually, because obviously they're trying to buy Battersea Power Station.
They've also tried to buy Olympia as well.
Yes, that's right. So there's lots of grounds local to the West London area that they wanted to try and get, and they've just been knocked back. This is it. Yeah. But
if we're talking about Chelsea, asset-wise, they've got good players, right? Also, they're a London club.
Yeah.
Right? They're a London club. They're the current European champions. They're still in the tournament. They could win the FA Cup and World Cup champions. So to me, it's about just getting that deal done, that they get sold and they no longer are in the hands of Roman, because it's not just Chelsea men's, it's Chelsea ladies, it's Chelsea everything. So they're not going to just let it be because, you know what, rival fans think it's funny. That's why I don't buy into the whole thing of, you know what, Chelsea's in the mud. I actually think if they get it right and they get the right kind of people, Chelsea will be fine. to be honest.
And this is where I'm going to come in, because you said no, and I said in my head, yes, it will affect them.
Okay.
But you've just qualified it. What I would have said is it depends on who buys it, because
That's it.
the Glazers are rich.
Yes.
The guy Enoch from Spurs, he's rich.
Spurs, yeah.
Cronkies are rich.
Mm-hmm.
What's the common thread here? These guys are all rich.
That's it.
How many of them are willing just to not waste, that's the wrong word. Because of the love of what they've just bought, they don't care about spending all that money. And 1.5 billion is what Chelsea own. Oh, right off, because he loved the club.
That's it.
I don't see any, there might be, I don't see any other owner loving the club to the extent of they're going to be happy to just 1.5 billion, put a match to it and burn it up just to try and see glory. There might be. I don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see that happen. I see owners that love the club probably run it, because even my son was showing me that they've been running as a good business before COVID. So they started to, and I started looking this all up, and they started to make good profits. And their model, excellent, of getting all the youngsters, selling them here for good money, 5, 10, whatever. And then it makes their turnover very, very good on the, profit and loss. It makes it, they're in line with financial fair play, et cetera, et cetera. So on that side, it's not too bad. But in saying that, what's going to be happening along the line, FIFA or UEFA, I can't remember which one it is, probably FIFA, they're stopping this. You can have as many players out on loan. So that's all going to get cut back as well. I think it will affect them. Because I think whoever comes in isn't going to bankroll them the way Abramovich bankrolled them. And so thus, they're going to be more Liverpool. They're going to be more like Liverpool. But whereas Liverpool got a huge advantage over Chelsea, you've got smart owners and you've got a brilliant manager. You've got excellent recruitment. Smart owners, excellent recruitment, brilliant manager is why Liverpool are challenging for the last few years, top of the tree every single year. As silly as it may sound, not every other club has that, even though they've got a lot of money. They don't have the smart owners. They don't have the brilliant manager. And I mentioned Arsenal earlier. Their recruitment's been terrible. Man United, the recruitment's been terrible.
Yeah.
The managers have been terrible. So you need all three to align, like Liverpool, because that's Chelsea will still have money, but it'll be like Liverpool's money. Now you need to be smart, in my opinion. Unless, as I say, somebody comes in and says, I don't care.
Can I just say, I heard on the news, in fact, I heard it on the news this morning. One of the ministers was actually saying that, as his name is being Russianized now, Roman Abramovich.
Abramovich.
Roman Abramovich, as he's being commonly mentioned now. His assets have been frozen, not necessarily seized.
Yeah, but we knew that.
No, but my point is, if the issues that are going on in the bigger world currently end, then the law that is governing the seizure would no longer be.
This is it.
So in a sense, if I don't know, obviously, because I don't know what's going on, in the bigger picture, but my understanding is if the issues end, then Chelsea goes back to square one almost.
Well, there's a possibility
because
he could get them back. Basically, he could.
Because it's a freezing of his assets, not a seizure of his assets. As in, they're not the government haven't. It's not like a bank where they take over the bank and then they've always done is they've said you can no longer earn, but you can't sell. But it's still his. He still owns it.
This is the thing. Yusumanov, I wanted Yusumanov to be the Arsenal owner.
Oh man, we dodged a bullet there.
No. Listen, we may have dodged a bullet in one way, but I think Arsenal would have had a lot more trophies in the other way, just the same as Chelsea have their trophies. You can never take that away from them.
Yeah, but isn't Usmanov at Everton?
No, he was at Arsenal before, and he had 30%.
Yeah, and then did he go to Everton?
Yeah, and this is what I'm coming to. Yusumanov given Everton good sponsorships, and some were saying behind the scenes he was running things, because when they were going, when they're saying when managers were going for meetings, he was kind of involved somehow. But my point is how quick they were to sanction Yusumanov.
Yeah.
This is it.
And I was saying to anyone that would listen, well, why are they sanctioning Abramovich?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because the reason they're not, because he owns Chelsea.
That's right.
And even the Labour MP was saying, well, why isn't he being? And in my opinion, it's because they don't want Chelsea. The last thing the government wants.
Oh no. What's happened there? What has happened? I'm not quite
That's
sure
when
what's going on.
I'm going to sell it.
Did I freeze or did you guys freeze?
Nana was fine for me.
Me and Chris are good.
Oh, it must have been me. Maybe it's my internet.
Sorry. But what I was just saying, basically, I think he's been told you got to sell before we seize. That's when he then puts it up for sale, trying to do it all quietly at first.
Yeah.
But then it got out. Then he makes his statement, I'm now selling, because their government don't want Chelsea, one of the blue chip football clubs of England, to be going into, so they're not seizing it, freezing it, but they're still allowing it to run, and they'll make other changes. So they don't want it to go into administration. No way, Jose, do the government want that. So what they're telling him, you get rid of it, you sell it, you can't take any of the money. You can't take any money because that.
So then where does it go? What if you sell eventually Chelsea will be sold, and the proceeds of that sale will have to go back, because keep it in mind, Chelsea owe him money. He's loaned Chelsea
1.5 billion, but he's
written it off. He's written it off.
So he's written off.
He has written that off.
Written off the debt.
Written up. They are debt free.
And that's why I'm saying, who else would do that?
So my question. So then, do you know what that kind of feeds into?
Yeah.
That Chelsea may be fine, because they're probably the first team in Premier League history, other than maybe Arsenal, because obviously Arsenal under Wenger was run business-wise pretty much, spot on. But now we're talking about a club that has no debt.
They have no debt. They are worth.
They don't owe Abramovich the debt.
Yeah.
In the bank right now, they have 20 million or 30 million. They haven't got.
This is
that
is true. That is true. But at the end of the day, right? They don't have debt. And anytime they got into a spot of whatever, they speak to him, he pumped his personal wealth into it.
Yeah.
But now somebody buys that club, right? At the value that is given, you got to remember that money is only going to charity.
Yeah.
Right? It's not going anywhere. So in terms of that individual may just decide, because we don't know what the final outcome is going to be. My non-educated guess would be the buyer will wait until the last possible moment in the match, right? They'll go low ball, because in all honesty, if you can low ball it and you say, all right, I'll buy them for $1 billion, but they were worth 3 billion. That now means you've got 2 billion of a distress. You've saved 2 billion on a distressed asset, right? Which you can still use on players, or you can use on a stadium. Chelsea will be fine if they.
I agree with you.
If they get it right, they'll be fine.
I agree with you about the buyer thing. If you was the only rodeo in town.
Yes, if you were the only one. Yes,
but I think what's happened, a lot of people looking over and that want Chelsea. So because there's several people, you lowball, well, you can put yourself out. So it's a bit of a, because if you're the only buyer in town, you're going to do what you just said. That's the smart thing to do. As like you said, we're non-educated. That's a smart. Wait till this low. He's now got to sell because he's got no choice. But because there's several people all at the table, he's lowballed him. Well, I'm going to get this because I really want it. So it's.
But then, do you not think that from a perspective of you've got money, right? It means that Chelsea can almost automatically stay as a powerhouse. Doesn't mean that they'll be bankrolled like.
They will stay as okay. When you say powerhouse, I don't think they will be at the level they are now. That's what I'm trying to say. They'll be, they're going to be at the Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool kind of level of money, which is a lot of money. And spend it what? And this is why I said earlier, Liverpool are wise because their owners, their recruitment, their managers, all A class. They're running things properly. Look at the recruitment that you guys have just done. Jota, Diaz. You can keep going. Wijnaldum, your recruitment's fantastic. Salah, Mane, the recruitment, Robinson. You're buying hit after hit after hit after hit. If it's like a record thing, you're buying hits all the time. You're buying the best. But you see where I'm going with this? And your recruitment's like that. You're spending wisely. You're not doing like a Chelsea and Man City just, oh yeah, we got the most money, so I'll just buy this. Oh, we got the most money, so and that's what I'm saying. They're not going to be, Chelsea, no, in my opinion, are not going to be just say, we've got the most money, so we're going to take this player. We've got the most money, so we're going to, they're not going to be able to do that anymore because that's not smart recruitment. And unless, as I say, unless it's somebody that doesn't mind wasting their money.
And I would imagine that the only ones now currently that don't mind wasting money would probably be connected to oil, because it seems like maybe, you know, any of the Middle Eastern owners, princes, kings, that kind of thing, you know, it probably could be the vacuum where Chelsea leave could be where Newcastle come in.
Yeah, if someone like that comes in, then they will carry on. If someone like that comes in, then I agree. Then I will now agree with Chris. Then they will carry on because they've got someone so rich. You know, they find $1 billion in there down the back of their sofa, sort of thing.
But then I'm gonna play devil's, for want of a better phrase. I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
No, we understand.
Yeah,
because obviously I don't support a team in London, right? So I believe that we're all being objective here. I don't think there's any bias to it. But when we look at, let's say, the likes of Liverpool and United and Arsenal and whatever, we all spend money, right? In fact, some spend more than others, right? And we've all had varying levels of success. I think what I was seeing where people were like, they will be in the mud. They're not going to be in the mud, because even if they went to the levels of, let's see, Man United can spend 200 million in a window. Yeah. So in all honesty, if they've got rid of Ed Woodward, they've got somebody else in sport, right? I think we said earlier it might be Poch who gets the job. We don't know, right? But let's say Poch gets the job and he's given 200 million. That's not in the mud to me for Man United. So if Chelsea if Chelsea got something similar, and it doesn't mean, because for me, I know what you're saying. Their model was buy up everybody, right? And we just,
loan them out.
You know, we'll buy up everyone. The ones who don't work out from the loan system, we can sell them for a fee. And anyone who's good for a couple of years, cool, but otherwise we move them on. They might not be able to do that. But if you said to Chelsea fans right now, as we sit, they can get a decent enough manager or keep this manager, they can sort out their model, and every summer they could spend between 120 to 180 million on players, they'll still take it, because Newcastle did it just a minute ago.
Can I just say that?
I wanted to say as well. Yeah,
I just want to. Well, it's just a side point, to be honest. I'll Nano, afterwards, please make your point. Is there potential for Chelsea Football Club to be a toxic asset, and that they do a fire sale? Because long term,
I don't think so.
I
don't think so.
Oh, hear me out. You've got players that are currently. You've got players that are currently contract renewals, big players for them, and arguably the players that are under contract renewal won't be replaced without spending good money. You're going to need to spend good money if you're going to replace Rudiger. You are going to need to spend good money if you're going to replace their captain, Dave. I was going to say, I can't say his name. Dave. We'll call him Dave. So anyway, so the fact is, Lukaku's unhappy. He obviously is not interested. He wants to go. It does seem.
We don't know that, by the way. We don't know that.
Well,
I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm going to play devil's advocate.
I look at his body language. And usually his feet does the talking.
Yes.
And I get the impression that he's just not happy. Now,
you can't be happy if you don't play.
If you don't
you're
play,
number 9.
That is
you're
true.
100 million, and Kai Havertz the head of you, and he's not a striker. You can't be happy.
No,
I get that.
No, and I would imagine, and not. This is not my opinion. I'm asking the question.
Okay.
could Chelsea be considered a toxic asset? Is there even potential for that club now, because of the current climate and the association it has, that it could be a toxic asset that no one would want to genuinely take a bite out of?
I don't think so, because as I said earlier, there's already a queue of people wanting to buy it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's already a queue of people wanting to buy it.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to go back to what Chris was saying, Chelsea and Man United are two big different things. Unfortunately for me and you, we support Arsenal. Not unfortunately, that's the wrong word. Yeah, but we support Arsenal. You support Liverpool.
Yeah.
What I'm going to say is this is unfortunate. We have to admit, Man United is probably the biggest club in the world. Yeah. And worldwide.
Arguably.
That's why they can spend 200 million. Chelsea, they have 75,000. They have a worldwide brand. Chelsea's now got a worldwide brand because of the last 20 years.
Yeah, agreed.
At the level of Man United. Chelsea can only fit in 38,000, 40,000 in this. That's not the same. So they'll still, that's why I was saying like Tottenham and Arsenal. They'll still have money, but it won't be like Man United's money. It just, in my opinion, it just won't be that level, because, and that's why they want to increase their stadium. That's why they want it, because they know they need to do that to get that revenue in, but they won't be at that level in my opinion.
This is what this particular situation has taught them and everybody else, if you're paying attention, right? If they want to be Abramovich levels, they need a sponsor, right? And everybody said to them even 20 years ago, we don't know where this guy's got the money from, but if he walked away tomorrow, Chelsea would be stuffed.
Right?
Yeah,
everyone was saying that,
he didn't walk away. He stayed, and he probably would have stayed had this situation not happened.
Yeah,
so
he would have.
For them, they've got a really massive decision to make, because even out of those potential buyers, some of them are states. There's another Saudi in that group, and if you think of the Saudis who are following, who've just bought Newcastle, they're richer than all the other 19.
Yeah, they're the richest now. Yeah.
Do you understand? So even if this next Saudi comes in and they just got Manchester City money, Chelsea's still a problem. And now you've got Newcastle.
Then they will be. Someone like that. Yeah.
It depends what Chelsea choose to do. Now, from 20 years ago, people said you need to get a sustainable model, right? And they wanted to do it. They got different chief executives. I remember Peter Kenyon came from Man United.
They're going that way.
Yeah, and they were trying. They were definitely trying, but they still didn't get there because Roman just has so much money. And if you don't, with Chelsea, you can have brilliant success, but if you're having to constantly pay off managers, the money you're making in prizes, you're just spending it on managers getting sacked, right? So there has to be some sustainability. They're still not there yet. So now they have to make that choice. Do we go down the sustainability route, and it means you drop down levels, right? Like Nana said, you probably will be top 4 battlers. That's what you'd become. You won't be World Club champions, Champions League. You're not going to be, because it will take you a few years, if this world continues to exist, to do that work, right? However, if somebody's at the table who's a Saudi and he's like, I've seen what they're doing at Newcastle, I want a piece of this, and this team is in London, big man, I'm coming in, and they come with 300 billion. Chelsea are like, you know, we could do this for another 10 years. Bring them, come in. Then Chelsea will just chief up everyone. So I just think we will never know until the end of May. Once we get to the end of May, then we'll either be laughing or not laughing.
I'll be laughing.
I don't want to see any teams go out of existence. You know,
go out of business. No. What I mean by laughing, now they have an owner that's like the rest of the owners, and that's running it as a proper business. So now it's fair again, not financial doping.
I just don't think we're ever going.
I like that financial doping.
I don't think we're ever going to go to that place again where there's a level playing field. And to be honest, we all support teams in this so-called Big Six. And quite frankly, we just wanted to have our cake and eat it, because Burnley, Aston Villa, maybe Everton, and the teams down the bottom, West Hams and whatever, they've never had the money that we have had, right? They've never done Champions League. They've never been able to go to another even Premiership team and get their best players and say, boom. But now all of a sudden, because Newcastle's doing it, City's doing it, Chelsea have done it, we're all upset. No.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
yeah, you're right.
it's
Yeah, but there's a
players
reason why I'm upset. There's a reason though why I'm upset. The reason I'm upset, to me, I'm a computer and video games man, and there's a game called Championship Manager, Football Manager, and there's a cheat code where you can just put in the money.
Yes. Yeah.
Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, they earned that over the years of building and building and building and building. Whereas people that come in with now Newcastle money or Chelsea money or Man City, because they're allowed to do it, they're allowed to do it. But that's just unfair. Because that money could go to, it's like a lottery. That could have, whoever landed it, oh, now they're successful. It was never, you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't built up. Liverpool history. Obviously all clubs have history.
Yeah.
Liverpool proper history. Man United proper history. Arsenal proper history. Of course Chelsea have history, but it was 50 years ago when they won the league. Man City, how many years ago? They were never in the conversation because they hadn't built up over time. That's why I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. Right. Listen, guys, as
you know,
as I said, we are trying to cover all of this week's football. and don't get me wrong, these are really big subjects that are important to talk about. They are part of what this, these are conversations that are being said by lots of football fans all around the country and around the world. Now, I'm just going to read out.
Can I just say one last thing on this subject? Because what it also meant is when Abramovich and then Sheikh Mansour done this, and they started paying these high prices for players, high prices on their wages. It meant that other teams had to all pay high prices.
Oh yeah.
And then guess who now has to pay more for my ticket?
Yeah.
The fans
No, I get that, and don't get
that's what I don't like.
I think that,
I agree.
You don't want. I don't like beating down on other leagues, but for a long time, the Division 1 could be won by anyone because they were all very similar. And then when we got into the Premier League age, because United were the first to understand the business model, they pretty much straight away hit the floor running, won the league. Arsenal were very fortunate enough that we had a great manager who was able to follow suit with a good team. But we never had the money that they had. We were never commanding the levels of money that they had. Now we are in a period where if you've got the money, you can buy the league. You can. It might take a few years, but you can do it.
You can do it, yeah.
I do believe that in years from now, Newcastle will be a powerhouse. It may not happen overnight, but I think that they will definitely at some stage, because they're going to be able to do the things that Burnley can't do. They're going to be able to do the things that Aston Villa can't do. They're going to be able to do the things that Watford can't do. And they'll be able to do things that Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City, United can't do. So there is, it is in a sense, but that is the nature. Look at when you look at I'll say I don't like talking about other leagues, but when you think like in the Spanish league, that Barcelona and Real Madrid have their own agreement with the TV companies. The money, the fabulous amount of money that they can have. Sevilla can't get that.
It used to be 80%.
Yeah.
Think about this. It was 80% of the money went to those two clubs, whereas the rest of the 18 had to share 20%.
Yeah, unfair. And so I understand. And I hope we never get to that stage where we are so unfair. How we are unfair is the fact that someone can come in and just buy a club and don't worry about what it costs. How many players have been spent? Have Grealish, a great player. He is a good player. I don't believe he's £100 million player, but he is still a great player. But that's what City had to pay to keep him out of the arms of anyone else, because he wasn't going to stay at Villa, and so they said we're going to have to spend the money. Harry Kane, when he eventually leaves Tottenham, if he does, they're going to spend big money, and whoever does it will spend more than anyone else because everyone else will want him.
Yeah.
But
so let me ask one last question, and we don't have to answer it today, right? Again, we all support teams in the top six or the big teams. And I don't know what your views are because we've never discussed it, and it might be a later date. But Super League, for or against? Because at the end of the day, remember, right, we're talking about it's being unfair and that, right, it's a level playing field. And if you're part of the founding fathers, you get the same prize money as everybody else.
Yeah. So can I just say, and honestly, you've got the grenade, you've gone fire in the hole. Trust me, you blew up the conversation. I am very conscious, my brothers, of the time we are discussing.
Okay.
So just to let you know, Chelsea won the game. Chelsea won their game today.
Yes, as the moderator, I am just quickly trying to get through so we don't run out of time. Let me just say, so on Thursday, which is the 10th of March, Norwich played Chelsea. Chelsea won 3-1. Southampton played Newcastle. Newcastle won 2-1 away from home. Wolves killed Watford 4-0 at home. Leeds were beaten by Villa 3-0. But this is not my point. My point is this. At the same time that the Premier League, those games were being played, West Ham were playing Sevilla in the European League, in the Europa League. Now, my question is, what's your opinion on the fact that European games now are being played at the same time as Premier League games? Do you have a problem with that?
It's only because of the COVID things, though. That's because a lot of these games are this wouldn't be normal. It's only because of the catch-up of the COVID. Normally, I wouldn't like it, and I don't like the FA Cup being the same as a league game being the final of the FA Cup. You still got I didn't used to like, so we're traditional, or I'm traditional, I'm guessing you're traditional. So I don't like league games on the same night as a European game. No, but I think this is extreme circumstances. I can't think of another word or a better word. It's because of all the COVID. Oh, we've got 2 people with COVID and some injuries, so let's call the game off.
That's it. Right, shameless.
Oh, we can't play that game. We might lose. COVID.
Completely shameless. And at the end of the day,
honestly, COVID became a weapon. We weaponized COVID, right? That's why we still got like 4 games with everybody, because we weaponized it.
The thing is, we didn't do it early enough. The first game of the season, we had players out. We had to play.
I know.
And we lost. So when everyone started crying when at last we did it, I think, wait a minute. The first game of the season, we had COVID. We had genuine COVID.
Yeah. We haven't weaponized it yet.
But this is what I'm saying. At the end of the day, if we do recruitment well, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, true.
It shouldn't matter.
But it doesn't matter who you recruit. If they get COVID, they get COVID.
If they get COVID, that's different. And
so, gentlemen,
I agree with Nana on that point. I don't even like it when there's games on and the WSL is on, the Women's Super. To be honest,
it's disrespectful. I like the fact that the Premier League is a separate entity, and the fact that I actually watched the Sevilla West Ham game.
Yeah, same.
And I actually was like, I'm rooting for them to do well in Europe. I am. I like to see them doing well, because I think that they are another one of those clubs that, if you talk about if you talk about the top clubs in London 30 years ago, you would have said Arsenal and Chelsea. But then, and it was all about the North London derby.
Respect it, like no Tottenham now.
No. But what I'm saying is now Chelsea came out, and Chelsea is the biggest club in terms of titles in the last 20 years.
Yeah,
they smashed.
No doubt.
They have.
Yeah.
And so, as much as we love I have spoken to enough Chelsea fans now to know that the derby between Chelsea and Tottenham is more bloodthirsty than the game between Arsenal and Tottenham.
Yeah, 100%.
Chelsea's
so. Do you know why that is, though? Do you know why that is? In my opinion,
go on.
My next door neighbour used to be still is an Arsenal fan, but he used to be my next. No, he used to be my next door neighbour.
Yeah.
The Tottenham people hate the fact that the Chelsea got the money.
Yeah.
Because there was the rumour he wanted to buy Tottenham. So that was what I was saying about in fact, there was an even rumour he wanted Arsenal first, then Tottenham. They both said no. Then he went to Chelsea. So the Tottenham ones hated that they got the money, and from Tottenham being bigger and better than Chelsea, Chelsea just dwarfed them and smashed them to the pieces for the last 20 years. So, that's why they hate. That's why the passion of hate for Chelsea, because they've got trophies and Tottenham haven't.
So what I notice is that the vitriol and the hatred with that Chelsea and Tottenham game, almost the North London derby is a little bit tame now. They're pals, they're friends. Chelsea, Tottenham, no. That's a violent game now. But then my point was the fact that teams like West Ham are now actually part of the table. Like they're now, they did their own deal with their stadium, paying peanuts, to rent a great stadium after they've done well out of that. And the results are there. They're getting the people through the door. I'm seeing youngsters now proud to wear the claret, to be proud to be a West Ham fan. And you think to yourself, that never used to happen before, but now it is. So, I look at it this way. I was watching the West Ham game and I was a bit annoyed that there was Premier League games running alongside. But if it's just a special just for the COVID, then that's one. That's right, because I'm very conscious of time, gentlemen. We cover the games of yesterday. So Brighton, they played Liverpool. Liverpool scored 2 goals, won the game. Brentford beat Burnley 2-0. But the game I wanted to focus on, it's the reason why I said that we wouldn't talk about Tottenham until the end of the game, was because at the beginning of the week, I mentioned that Tottenham beat Everton 5-0. They then go to Old Trafford. Please, if you watched the game, I did here. If you watched the game,
yes, sir.
Talk to me about what was going on there.
Man United had Cristiano Ronaldo, as simple as that, because Tottenham they outplayed Man United. I'm sorry to say.
Son was brilliant. But
he kept on falling over at the crucial moments. Like, what is this? I couldn't understand why Tottenham, when it came to the final third, their decision making was woeful. But to be honest, no Cristiano Ronaldo.
That's a 2-0 away win.
Listen, I don't watch United that much. I just know that I see their results. I realized, wow, they lost again or they drew. I thought they'd win that game, blah, blah, blah. I watched them and I was more impressed with Tottenham. He's been able to buy 2 players and they got rid of a whole heap, right? But there was cohesion in that team. It's just that
he's a great manager.
Listen, he bought Kulusevski and is it Bentancur or one of these?
Brilliant player.
What? Yeah. Kulusevski ran that game. Absolutely ran that game. I said, no. They were very unfortunate to lose that game. I'm sorry.
So it was the Ronaldo effect then.
Only the
Ronaldo effect.
And it did you guys a favor because had Tottenham won that game, they've still got so many games in hand. Right? It would have caused a problem. You needed United to probably win that game.
Well, I wanted a draw, but at worst case, United winning rather than Spurs, because we have 4 games in hand in United. But one of our games in hand is against Chelsea, and one of our games in hand is against Liverpool. So
it means nothing. Nothing.
I don't see us get. If we get a point out of any of those, I'll be happy. Both of those teams beating us in the last.
Yeah,
2 years,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to be disrespectful to any Leicester fans watching today. Obviously, we're playing Leicester. With this is being recorded just before the Leicester game, and that's going to be a difficult game anyway. The only thing I would say is that Arsenal have got 2 home games right now, where we've got Arsenal at home, and then we
Arsenal,
and then we have Leicester at home, and then we have Liverpool at home.
Yes, and that game's on Wednesday, isn't it?
And that's on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And obviously, we are friends, but this will be a big game. This will be a big game for us.
It's massive.
But then also, in many ways, we've got 4 chances to escape. That's how I look at it. At the moment, there are 4 chances, and we can fluff our lines once. The Leicester game, we can't fluff. We need that. We need.
Chelsea have won.
In the Leicester game today.
Chelsea have won today, and West Ham have won today.
Yeah. So exactly. So that's two big teams who are still there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all messed up. The problem I worry, in fact, it's not, is the fact that we are going to be playing like 4 games in a week, guaranteed. The way the FA will do it, we'll end up playing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday to catch up. So as much as we've got these games in hand, the only thing I would say is, and this is really strange, I'm saying it, but because Arsenal have not played this week and Leicester only played a few days ago in the Europa Conference, Europa League, whatever it was, we have got fresher legs than them, and let's hope that's the case. And that has been our that's been the one thing that we've had all season is that we haven't got Europe. So we were
Yeah,
actually fresher. We played better. And as the Champions League and the Europa League gets more intense, I'm hoping we get to play you when you've had a game away. You know, you've played Bayern Munich away. You've played, you know, Real Madrid.
We play you on Wednesday.
It's next
week.
We
play you on Wednesday. We're playing you on Wednesday.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm talking about all the games we have in the future.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
In the future, we have all the games in the future. We will always have the advantage, and all the lower teams have that advantage. But we're in a very strange position where, for one season and one season only, because I believe we will get Champions League, we are going to be in a position where we can play games fresh. We only played on Saturday, now we're playing Saturday again. Great. You played midweek. You had to get on planes. You had to get home. You had to get your food, get your sleep pattern. You'd be playing at a different time. Gentlemen, very quickly.
Just before you wrap up, for those who don't support the top 6 teams, like, we are going to get onto relegation battles and things that further on down the line. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose those listeners either. You know, but at the moment there was a couple of games that were affecting the top. So you know what I mean?
And I think that's going to be, obviously we're only in episode 3. So keep in mind that we're still quite new at this. If you've got a subject you'd like us to talk about, put it in the comments. Please discuss it with us. We will more than welcome. We talk. Nana, you've been an amazing guest, and I really hope that you can
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much. Anytime.
We would absolutely love for you to come back with us again and discuss and talk with us, because it's been great. We hope to get more people in through the door. We'll talk about get it from their perspective. And I think that's another thing as well. That's part of the evolution of our channel, that we're going to do it like that. And we'll just get, discussion, have different points of view. I've been amazed at what you guys have said already. So the different points, especially at Chelsea, because I didn't think of it like that. That's been great. And I really appreciate you guys.
Can I just say Chris's grenade about the Super League? I have that. I don't think it's maybe different to what everyone else is thinking. So
can I? Okay. You know what?
So just for later, just letting you know.
But for real, if when he got the grenade and went fire in the hole, all I was thinking was that to me is another conversation.
Yeah.
And I think we should do it. So if you're up for it, I'm up for it. 100%. We'll have another conversation and we'll talk. Anyway, guys, I'm very conscious of the time. It has been another awesome show. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you've got any opinions,
one point, there will be a Instagram, there will be a Twitter that is going to link off the back of the channel. So once all of that is up, we'll probably try and get it up on the video feed as well. So there's going to be things coming out, but for now, please like, subscribe, and share.
Fancy. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say. I can't say any more than that, other than, guys, have a great week ahead of you. No doubt by this time next week, we'll be discussing the week that was. Hopefully there'll be some more amazing games that we can talk about and good topical points. If you're around, please check us out. Well, once the Instagram and all that sort of stuff, I will make sure I'll put links in the bio so that you guys can link on it, join us, and we'll just have more conversation. So thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us. And I sincerely hope you have a great week. Chris, any concluding words? Anything you want to say bye before we go?
Just thank you to you guys, Nana and Johnny. I love chatting to you guys. We're gonna, this is exciting stuff. And for those who are, watching on, any support you can give is just so appreciated. Definitely. So thank you.
And you, Nana, anything you'd like to say?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on. It's been excellent. I've really enjoyed it. I always enjoy chatting football. Always with guys that know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So all I can say to you is you are definitely. I just very quickly. I know that Chris sometimes goes on to another podcast, and they call him the substitute. And and we've substituted you onto the field, Nana. But actually, you are the Solskjaer. You definitely get the goals in. So looking forward to having you on again. Anyway, you guys, all peace. Take care. It has been just wow. What a great show. All right. Take care. Until the next one. Until episode 4.
Okay.
Peace.
Okay.